Hi. Have you ever messaged someone and they didn't respond for 3 hours? And in that space of silence, your brain got really busy creating all kinds of stories. They're mad at me. I said something wrong. I'm not a priority. Something is wrong with them. By the time they finally texted back or messaged back, maybe they were just in a meeting. Maybe their phone was in another room. But your brain had already traveled a significant distance from what actually was happening. The event, the pause of silence between communications, that is a fact. The experience, the brain storytelling, that's something else completely. That default mode network in action again. It happens. This is one of the most important things I have ever watched people work through, and I believe it's one of the most powerful things we can spend time learning and growing within. Something happens in a conversation, a tone, a pause, a canceled plan, a comment that lands harshly, and the brain does not just register the event, it assigns meaning to it immediately, faster than you're conscious of, really, faster than you can choose. And that meaning, not the event itself, is what you're really reacting to. The meaning feels inseparable from what happened. It feels like the same thing. The tone meant they are dismissing you. Not true. The silence meant something is wrong. Not always true. The canceled plan meant you are not important. Not always true. Those feel like facts, but they're not facts. They are interpretations, and often misinterpretations, and interpretations come from somewhere. Even as many years as I have taught this to people and practiced it myself, this is still a consistent practice because the brain will brain. I say life is lifing and the brain is braining. It just does what it does. It is up to me to pay attention. I practice this the most with my sister and my closest friend. I believe the more important people are to us, the greater the risk of loss. And so the more our brain is going to try to protect us from that loss. So it's going to try to anticipate and make meaning of every little thing. My sister and I are pretty great at catching it right away and pointing it out. Oops, sorry, I was making assumptions there. So when you can tell the difference between what happened and what your brain made it mean, you've got the power of choice. So here is what I find fascinating about this. The meanings people assign are very rarely new assignments. They are a large percentage of the time just old stories that our brain is replaying. Conclusions drawn from earlier experiences, early relationships, earlier environments, where that kind of silence or a tone really did mean something uncomfortable. Someone goes quiet and it feels like withdrawal. Someone cancels and it feels like rejection. Somebody uses a certain tone and your brain jumps back in a completely different room, a completely different conversation, a completely different year. This is normal. This is just mind pattern matching, trying to protect you by drawing on everything it has learned up until this point. And that is actually a very efficient system. The question worth sitting with is whether the pattern it is matching to is really relevant, whether the meaning it assigned fits this person, this moment, this relationship, or whether it's old data running in present-day circumstances. You are likely not reacting to the current conversation. It is more likely your brain is making you react to every conversation that ever felt like this one. So here's a practice I'd like to suggest and leave you with. 2 questions, just 2. After a conversation that left you feeling activated, not during, but after, when you have a little space, sit and reflect and ask yourself, what did my brain make that mean? What is the story my brain gave it? And then, is that meaning true right now? Or is that just old pattern matching? So just those 2 questions. No need for some deep analysis or tracing it back through your entire history. Just examination of the layer underneath the reaction. Getting in the habit of being curious about the meaning making. That habit over time will change how you move through conversations. conversations that matter to you, one practice at a time, and before you know it, your new habit is you're catching the reactivity, examining it, and you get to decide if you're going to believe the story your brain is telling you, or are you going to believe the actual facts. No text back, it's just silence. They're probably busy. They lost their phone in the lake, or they moved to Norway or something. You'll find out at some point what the silence was about. Until then, chillax, brain. Well, that is the last video on communication for now. We have a live in the community tomorrow that's going to be all about communication beyond reactivity. There'll be more in the future for sure, though. Healthy communication sure does change things. I love you. Take care of yourself. And as always, I'm sending you peace and light. I hope to see you Sunday. The link is in my bio.